There we go. Awesome. All right. Yeah, no, sorry about that. We are back. I don't know what the heck happened. I think our internet just dropped or something. Ain't no telling nowadays.
It's all good.
You know what they say when you start getting too real, you know what I mean? Stuff started happening. So maybe we was talking about something too real, I guess.
Can't be telling all these money secrets.
Yeah. Nah, man. But yeah, just kind of jumping back into it, man. Right before we got disconnected, I was saying that Tuesday I had met a where I work up at West Point in the admissions department. There was an old grad who came in, as we call it, due to graduated back in the day. His son is thinking about going to the academy, and I was just chatting with him. And one of the things that you said that I really liked was talking about not necessarily going on to follow on school, right? So it made me think about when I met this guy. So I met him. He came in, just asking about his son, asking about some things that have changed at the academy. So I just asked him, what he did, and he told me he was a high up executive up at a bank out based out of Chicago. And I was like, oh man, that's really awesome. And I assume he's making some good money if you're, executive. You could tell he had like the vest on, and I could just tell the glasses. I was like, yeah, this guy make some money. You can tell. It was Vineyard Vines. It wasn't no USPA. You know what I mean? Or Brooks Brothers. It wasn't USPA. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was just asking him, what he did. And then my buddy was there with me. He asked him what his path was because he's thinking about going to business school to study finance and do all this other stuff. And he was like, I'll tell you what, like one thing that I didn't do is after I got out of the military, I didn't go get an MBA right away. Basically what he said is a lot of people, and you see it too, a lot of people, as soon as they transition out of the military, the first thing they do is they press the button and say, hey, I'm gonna go get an MBA, and don't necessarily know why they want to get it or what they're going to do with it, but they just say, I'm gonna go get an MBA. Right. And if you're smart, obviously you can get a scholarship or whatnot. But for a lot of people, you got to come out of pocket if you don't have the GI Bill. So that's $200K in debt. He said, I didn't need to go to business school because I got into sales, understood that a little bit, started doing really well with that, and then got into the financial field. And then soon, lo and behold, he became a high up executive on it for a bank. And one of the things he said was he just didn't need to waste $200,000 for a couple of years when he was making really good money in sales and learning all the same stuff that he learned, would be learning in business school. And now where he's at without having to do that was just something I thought that was something that was inspiring to me. I'm actually going to connect with him. I got his info. So I'm going to reach out to him on LinkedIn. But that was just something that I thought was awesome, man. And just to kind of illustrate that point that, going and getting a master's degree or a doctor's degree, or even going to college period isn't 100% necessary. Putting yourself in a whole bunch of debt isn't necessary if you do not have your plan 100% figured out yet. Because a lot of people too, you see, go to school, get these degrees, and the jobs that they end up working in have nothing to do with the major or the field that they were studying while they're at school.
That's it. That's it. And really, it's just a waste of time and a waste of money, if you ask me. I mean, because if I'm a high school student now, I mean, I'm looking more at doing a trade if I don't have a scholarship to go to college, right? I mean, because like I can get the trade. I mean, take for an electrician or say an HVAC, or a plumber or whatever you decide you want to do in a trade wise. I mean, you can be making way more money in 4 years than that person going to school and behind the eight ball with 200,000 in debt. So I mean, it's just it depends on how you want to work. I mean, we've all been programmed to, after high school, college is what it is, and that's the rule. And if you want to be wealthy or if you want to have a good life, this is what you're supposed to do, right? But a lot of times, when folks are going to college, getting degrees that they don't even know about, I mean, they don't even use it. I mean, I went to school for art history. I mean, good good thing that I didn't have to pay to go, right? Because like I got out and I was teaching high school and I was pretty much poor. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how can anyone live off of this a month? And it was just the worst opportunity. I mean, that I knew that being a teacher, not knocking any teachers, right? I mean, because if you grow up and you want to be a teacher and you're a teacher, you're a success, right? Because that's what you chose to do and that's what you wanted to do. But for me, I mean, just being a teacher is just wasn't enough for me, right? So I had to be able to go out and learn how to do other things. And, right after that, I got my real estate license and, I started doing more than a teacher's salary could do for me. So, you just got to think about the way you want to live and, ha- think about the things you want in life, right? Because a lot of us just get pushed into college by our parents, our friends, people we grew up with, because we're like robots. Everybody's trained to go to college and get a good job so you can pay taxes. I think that's just the American way, because if you're a taxpayer, you're basically a battery in the country, almost like the
Yeah.
main.
And it's like, bro, too, with that, man, the concept of being a taxpayer, and I'll jump back into topics. I know I'm going off topic a little bit here. Is when you think about it, it's almost like people that wear it as a badge of honor. Like, I pay my taxes and I'm a tax-paying citizen. When in reality, the ultra rich, the people who are making all this money, they ain't paying taxes. But
No,
we
sir.
are the middle class and below, we're paying these taxes, and we're proud of it. Proud to be giving our money right away, because we don't know how to diversify. We don't know how to put our money in other streams. And yeah, I think that is solid. I have another point I'm going to circle back to a little bit further on. I wanted to hit on, but I guess jumping into number 2, protecting your money, man. You want to hit that one off?
Yeah, man. I mean, so once you start making money, and you got that good job, and you know you're making that money on the side hustle, you want to learn how to protect that money, right? So you think about market downturns, lawsuits, inflation, everything that's going on today, right? I mean, you look at inflation. I mean, inflation is kicking the countries in the butt right now. And you think about real estate downturns. I mean, I was around when the recession was around, and even now, like it's still kind of choppy with us right now, because I mean, interest rates went up. So you have to understand the downturns. You have to understand how to use insurance to protect your assets, whether it's health or life insurance, property insurance. If your property burns down, you want to make sure that those things are protected, right? So you want to be able to, you know, do everything you can to not have to go in that downturn. So a lot of people, you know, I would say, if you don't have insurance on a property and it catches on fire, then you just lost that whole property, right? And same goes with it, life insurance, right? A lot of folks don't have life insurance, but that's how you continue to get wealthier and pass that wealth down to your family and people that come behind you. So you want to learn those type of different ways to protect your assets, protect your money. You also want to be able to, not pay as, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't carry that as a badge of honor, paying taxes, right? So
Yeah.
I'd rather not pay any taxes and have cash flow coming in every single month and not having to worry about that. I mean, the thing about having been an entrepreneur and increasing your cash flow is that you don't pay taxes up front, you pay it on the back end. And most of the times when you pay it on the back end, it's just on paper. It's not coming out of your pocket directly. So that's why, we invest in multifamily, and we try to acquire as many multifamily properties as possible, because the more properties we can get under our belt and in our portfolio, the less taxes we're going to have to pay. So, we want to be able to minimize those tax liabilities while having, corporate structures in place, LLCs, trust, to safeguard, you know, our wealth. And so the more information you can have to protect your wealth, and the more tools you have and the right people you have in your corner, I mean, you can always minimize that. So I'm just, it's just amazing to me how some folks don't even understand how to set up a trust or an LLC, or, all they know how to do is pay, get that little small check when it comes tax time, right? Because that refund, that's what a lot of folks think about, getting
Yeah.
that, right? I want
And yeah,
that. And it's
and just
really
to
that.
kind of, bro, and it kind of put that notion, man, what a refund is. A lot of people don't know this, and I actually learned this later in life. Probably honestly, like 4 or 5 years ago, I learned this, and this is something that kind of blew my mind. So all the tax refund is literally you overpaid for stuff. It's the government paying you back money that you overpaid on. So a
Pretty
lot of
much.
people look at it as the government is free money. It's something that it's a government handout, when really you overpaid on some things for the whole year, and this is
Your money. It's
literally
your
the money they're giving back to you that you've already paid. So it's a refund. And literally that's what it's more kind of like a rebate almost, if you really
yeah.
think about it. And that's just something that blows my mind. I'm glad they do it, because I hate having to overpay on anything. But it is crazy, because that is money that you earned that the government is giving back to you because you overpaid. And it kind of, yeah, backtrack a little bit too, man, as far as protecting your money, right? And I think that's something that's very important. I don't care if you're running a lemonade stand. I don't care if you're trading stocks or whatever it is. If you're going to be doing some type of side hustle and you're going to be doing it consistently, you should really think about, or obviously consult, tax professional, consult an attorney, but to really think about putting your side hustle into some type of entity, whether it is a LLC or a S corporation, whatever it is. think about putting in some type of entity, because there are so many different things that you can do, right, as far as tax write-offs that can save you so much money and put more money in your pocket as a just as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And that's something that it's something that's very interesting to you. Let me know, and I can try to reach out to, just make some comments or send me a DM. I can reach out. I know a couple CPAs. I know Kevin knows a few CPAs and things like that. And maybe we can bring somebody on to kind of talk through what exactly that looks like. And a book that you can read too on that, and I didn't finish it, just full disclosure, I'm about halfway through. It's called Tax-Free Wealth. Forgot by the name of the author who looked at it. I will look at it at the end of this or sometime while we're talking, and put it in the chat or something like that. But the author of that book, he talks about all the tax secrets, the tax codes that we have, right? Because as an entrepreneur, right, this is America, right? It's the land of the free, home of the brave, right? The government wants more entrepreneurs within the economy. Entrepreneurs, people who are making high seven-figure salaries outside of their jobs, are what stimulate growth. They stimulate job growth. They stimulate our economy. And there's a lot of benefits that we as regular people do not know about on the tax side. There's a lot of things that we just don't know about it because we're just ignorant to it, because we're unaware. And I would argue we're not supposed to know it. There's a reason why people up top know it, and there's a reason why people at the bottom don't know it. And I'll just kind of leave that there. But I just think taxes are important, man. How important you think that is, man?
I mean, it's very important, right? I mean, just like you said, I mean, to kind of piggyback off of that, I mean, big businesses don't pay taxes. I mean, it's on paper, but it's not coming out of their pocket, right? I mean, it's a reason why Warren Buffett pays less taxes than his secretary does, right? And that's because the tax code is made for, business owners and people who create jobs, right? So if you're a job creator, you're going to get that benefit as taxes. And see, that's what a lot of us don't know, right? We're not, talking about just a one-man operation like most of us know. 98% of us are basically one-man shows, right? But see, the killer part about it is the more employees you have, the more people you have working under you, the more tax breaks you get, right? Because if you're creating jobs, I mean, you think about us as multifamily investors, right? And I was having this conversation earlier today with another client of mine, and you got to look at it, because if we buy an apartment building, 100-unit apartment building, we're hiring we're hiring a maintenance team, we're hiring landscapers, we're hiring people that's coming in doing maintenance on the building. There's a ton of jobs that we're creating with one apartment building, right? So the more employees that we hire that work under us, leveraging other people's money and time, the more tax breaks we get. And so, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. So, it baffles me how most people don't even think about that. They're just driving an autopilot, and they hate their job and they hate where they are, but they don't try to learn anything else, or, try to encourage themselves to be better. So you got to take advantage of protecting your money and understanding how the economy in the nation, how it works. You know what I mean? Because you're in this country that's a capitalistic country. It's made his main thing is making money, right? And so if you're making money and you're just an employee, you're paying the most taxes. So it's so advantageous for someone who wants to live a different type lifestyle to understand, for one, I have to make different types of income. I have to have different streams of income, but I also have to be able to protect it. And I also have to be able to, understand how to leverage that to do other things. So I think this topic today is just amazing for me, man.
Yeah, man. And I'll go ahead and get ready to move on to number 3, man. But just to kind of summarize that, right? As far as protecting your wealth, think about starting to, like, if you have any type of side hustle or business that you're entrepreneurial business or anything like that you're kind of jumping into, think about setting up an entity, LLC, one of those things, something like that. As far as taxes, think about how you can take advantage of, say, put more money in your pocket, talk to a CPA, talk to a tax attorney, things like that. Learn about those, read books about taxes. Number 3, look into other things such as life insurance. People utilize life insurance as a shield for a lot of different things. Think about starting a trust, things like that. But we can dive into all those topics again a little bit later. If y'all want to know about it, just shoot us a DM or a message, man, and we can bring people on here to just try to add as much value as we can to you guys. But jumping into number 3, budgeting your money. And this is probably and all these on here today, this is probably my favorite, man,
Yeah.
because man, this is my favorite, man. To kind of just jump into it, I mean, story behind it, man. Long story short, I have always been about saving money, and really the roots behind that is my grandma Catherine. Hope she's on here listening. Maybe she ain't, but if she isn't, I'm gonna send her this anyway. My grandma Catherine. I remember as a little kid, she'd give us money and she'd always tell us to save it, no matter if it was 50 cents, 10 cents, which I guess was a lot of money, back in her day. But talking about always saving your money, right? And I remember I used to always try to make money. I used to always try to hustle ever since I was like a little kid. So I specifically remember, and when I was in like, man, probably like kindergarten. Yeah, kindergarten. My grandfather used to always take me to on a military base. He used to always take me to the PX, right, the post exchange, and I would always ask for 25 cents or 50 cents so I can hit the little gumball machine and get like little bouncy balls and little toys and things like that. So I'd buy those toys for like 50 cents, 25 cents, leveraging somebody else's money, my grandpa's money, right? I take them to school, and I was flipping those for like $1, $2. You know what I mean? I have candy that I get, bring it in, candy around the house that I find. I bring it into the school, and I have my own little plastic bag, Ziploc bag full of like $20, and I thought I was balling. And I never spent it. I just would save it, save it, save it. Before you know it, you're like, I don't know, like 7, 8 years old, and you got like $50, $75 just that you have, and it makes you feel good. But as far as the budgeting piece, right? I think that budgeting is just so key, because whenever you make money, anybody, no matter what your job is, no matter what position you is, there's always room for you to save, regardless of what is going on. I don't care if you're only making $10, you can save $1. The first person that you should be paying, or the first people you should be paying, number one, I believe you should pay God first, right? Your tithes and offering 10% of what you earn. But the second person is you need to pay yourself, and not the sense of I'm putting money in my bank to go Chipotle, or I'm putting money in my bank to go buy a new watch and some new clothes or something like that. But money into, I guess, into your bank to where you can either invest it into something that you're passionate about and following, or putting money away for a rainy day fund or like a loss of income fund or something like that. But the money that you save or the money that you invest now is much more important than the material things that you can buy now, right? Especially in some communities, right? We have the spend it before we get it type culture, right? To where we get some money or we got a credit card and we think it's unlimited money, right? We just go swipe it, and don't even think about the ramifications or how that completely tears up completely tears us up and does not set us up. But I'm gonna jump into you, brother.
No, man. I mean, you're exactly right, man. I mean, having that budget. I mean, I sold candy at school too, cuz so I know what you mean by that. You know what I'm saying? You go get 12 Kit Kats or 12 Reese's for $2, and you selling each one, in a 12 pack for $2 a piece. So like, hey, hitting them in the head and understanding what your budgets is. So I mean, it's no different than having a budget for your household expenses or whatever expenses you have every month, right? Because I mean that's why I always tell my students and folks I talk to about multifamily, start at the end and kind of reverse engineer, right? Understand the number that you need, whether it's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 a month to live the way you want to live. You basically you're setting that target and that goal, right? So if the end goal is 30,000 a month, then you know that everything I do should be going towards increasing that 30,000 a month, right? So like I know if I want to get there, I have to be able to, for one, buy multifamily properties, buy real estate that's going to cash flow every single month. But every property that we purchase or we acquire is getting us closer and closer to that number. So for all of you folks out there right now who are, balancing a 9 to 5 job and wondering how we get out of this, you have to come up with the number that you need every single month to pay all your expenses, to travel if you want to, grocery, gas, plane tickets, whatever you want to do. You have to come up with that number. Once you come up with that number, now you have to find the tools to get there. So what we do, we use multifamily real estate. Multifamily real estate is always cash flowing. The equity is always growing because rent never goes down. It's always going up. And so we want to be able to put those funds in our pocket every single month. That cash flow is what gets us out of the rat race. It gives you the freedom to be able to do the things you want to do. So having that budget of what your expenses are every month is major, right? You create that financial cushion through budgeting and reducing. I mean, it helps you reduce the stress, right? So it doesn't just help you, it helps everyone around you. So if you have a
Yeah.
family, have kids, I mean, because you don't want your kids growing up and just blowing money, because you got to know the value of a dollar, right? And so if you know the value of a dollar, you know that you can always, live off 70% of it if you wanted to, and put the other 30% away. I mean, I teach my daughter right now. I mean, you got to have a multitude of accounts, right? You got to have an account for your expenses. You got to have an account that you blow every single month. You got to have an account for long-term saving that you know you're going to spend, say for like college tuition. And you got to have an account that you know that you're going to invest in. That it's the golden goose account. That's what I call it, right? It's money that always goes in, but you never spend the golden goose. You only spend the eggs of the goose. And so you have to be able to put those in perspective and be able to say, hey, when I get this check for $100, 10% is going to tithes, 10% is going somewhere else, but it's all broken down. So no matter what money you get, even if making $100 a month, you're still basically budgeting it. And, you're basically taking yourself away from the rat race, because if you can budget your own money and come up with your expenses, then you can make more money than what your expenses hold. Right.
Yeah, bro, 100%, man. And I think, man, just to kind of add to that, man, there's a concept by Dave Ramsey. If you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he's like a financial guru. I don't agree with everything he says, but I agree with some of the stuff he says. He operates on one of the things that I think he got right that I really like is called the zero-based budget, or a zero balance budget. And essentially what that is you keeping track of every dollar that comes in. So if you guys have a job, you know how much you get paid. And if you don't know how much you paid, a quick tool that you can do, a quick exercise you can do is go through the last 3 months of whenever you gotten paid, the last few weeks or whatever it is, but take the average of the last 3 months, and that's the average that you could probably budget for how much you get paid. But essentially you get paid, say you get paid $100, $10 goes to tithes, say, $10 go to saving, and the other $80 goes to split between expenses and everything like that, right? So essentially every dollar has a home. So at no point, whenever your money comes into your account, my wife and I do something similar to what you're saying. We have it separated by different accounts. We have a fixed expenses account, right? So fixed expenses are your things that don't change because it's fixed. So those are things like your phone bill. That's not going to pretty much change. Your mortgage on your house, that's not going to change. Water, gas, that's usually right around the same. And then we have a variable account, variable expenses. So variable is things that do change, right? We budget a certain amount within the variable expenses, right? And those encompass things such as, gas, groceries, getting a haircut, things like that. So those are things that do kind of vary. They go up and down, but you have an idea and say, hey, I'm not going to spend no more than, $500 a month on groceries, if that's the case, right?
Right.
And then if you spend under it, that doesn't mean you just put money, I'm going to go blow this money. That's money that can either go into a savings account, or that's money that you have boosting up that account. And once it gets to a certain level, you can move to a different area. And then within that, we could break it down a whole lot longer, but it would be here for a long time. But I think that having a zero balance budget is very, very much so important, man. You have to know where your money is going. And that's not to say you can't have fun. If you want to budget, if you're getting paid and you want to budget, hey, I prioritize going out and hanging out, I want to budget, $300 a month to go out to eat. That's fine, so long as you are budgeting for it and
Right.
hold yourself to a standard, not going over it.
Exactly. And so you want to be able to predict your income, right? So if you have your expenses and you know what you want to be, you want to be able to predict it. If you know your expenses is X and you know you're bringing in Y, if I bring in, Z, another form of income, we can, increase your savings, you can increase your investments, and you can kind of increase your cash flow. So, I think it's a definitely a must to be able to budget. I mean, even when we're doing multifamily, I mean, we have our income that comes in and we have our expenses that we pay out every month. And they're not always fixed, right? But we have to be able to predict those to be able to project exactly what we're doing. So we want that building to continue to cash flow, and we want the equity to increase. So we have to be able to predict the expenses and minimize as much as possible to get the maximum outcome. So just keep budgeting and keep growing.
Yeah. And again, hey, if you want us to dive deeper into this topic, just shoot us a DM or something like that, and we'll do a whole call on it. Jumping into number 4, I'm gonna let you head this piece off. I already know you got some interesting stuff to say on it, man. But number 4 is leveraging your money.
Right. So, one thing that we didn't learn is, as Black and brown people, we never learned how to leverage other people's money and other people's time, right? If you're, those are the biggest 2 forms of leverage you ever want to be able to do, because I always go back to multifamily, but at the end of the day, when we're leveraging other people's time, you think about the property manager that works for us, the maintenance worker, the landscaper, the person who's, fixing the toilets, the electrician that comes in that may have to fix something in the building. All of those are jobs that we're creating, right? So at the end of the day, we want to be able to leverage other people's time, and we leverage other people's money, like investors, right? So we have investors that come in and want to be a passive investor just to get cash flow and increase their net worth, right? So we show them how to basically leverage their money without them doing anything, and we leverage other people's time to give us the freedom that we want, right? Because if you can leverage other people's money and you can leverage other people's time, it'll give you the freedom to do the things you want to do, because it'll take you away from that 9 to 5 job. Most of us, if we're making 10, 15, 20,000 a month in cash flow, where we don't have to be there for it to come in, that's going to change a lot of our lives, right? So being able to leverage that, I mean, most of us only understand how to leverage our bodies and time by going sitting in a cubicle every day and working somebody else's job, right? That's what most of us know how to leverage. That's the only leverage we've ever learned about, that we have to be there to make this money, right? We have to use our time to get a check, right? So you got to be in that cubicle. You got to be on the clock for at least 40 hours a week to get paid, right? And so when I was in Denver not too long ago, and I met two brothers, and they probably worked maybe 3 or 4 hours a week. And it's two brothers, right? And see, what they specialize in is triple net leases. So, when you're doing a triple net lease, the tenant pays for everything. So the tenants that they were targeting was Chick-fil-A, Lowe's Foods, Publix, Harris Teeter. Now let me ask you a question. Do you ever think Chick-fil-A is late on their rent?
No,
Do
I
you ever,
do not.
do you ever think Publix is late on their rent? They're never late, right?
Yeah.
But see, they're prime time businesses that move into the two brothers buildings,
Mhm.
and they pay for everything. So not only the insurance, the taxes, I mean, the maintenance on the building, the triple net lease covers all of that, right? And those leases can go from 10 to 20 years. And so not only do they last 10 to 20 years, but they're increasing every other 3 or 4 years. So like, not only do they maximize their time by only working 2 to 4 hours a week, but all they're doing is looking for other buildings to put more and more great tenants in, right? And so when you're targeting tenants like Chick-fil-A, Lowe's Foods, and Publix, and things of that nature, these businesses are not going out of style anytime soon. And on
Yeah.
top of that, that they're going to pay their rent every first of the month. They're not going to be late,
May
right?
even pay on the 31st of the month prior. Mhm.
Exactly, right. So those two brothers kind of, their niche was triple net leasing, and that gives them the freedom they want to be able to do, travel the way they want to travel, connect with other people they want to connect with, invest in other buildings and other businesses and other buildings. I mean, and it's all about the freedom and the way you want to live, right? I mean, a lot of us, like I say, are on co-pilot, or like just going through life without, not even at the steering wheel. We're just letting the autopilot go. And see, that's the killer part, because the more, I think if you're not educating yourself and you're not a constant learner, you're dying.
Yeah.
So you got to leverage your money. You got to leverage other people's money. And you got to leverage other people's time, right? So understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt. I mean, you know, bad debt is liabilities. I mean, student debt, credit card bills. I mean, but good debt, hey, having a debt on a 100-unit apartment building that cash flows about 12,000 a month. I mean, I'm okay with having that debt if it's giving me 12 grand a month, right?
Yep.
Not to mention that I got the equity and I have leverage with the building. So like, you have to understand how to continuously get better, even if it's just 1%. I mean, one of my favorite books is the Compound Effect, right? And so the compound effect, getting that 1% better every day, in whatever way you want to do that, right? So you got to understand how to leverage your money and continually be a student throughout, so you can be better for it.
Yeah. It's so important. And like, even at the lowest level, that is something that you're able to do. At the
Right.
lowest level, that is something you're able to do. There's a whole bunch of different loan programs. If real estate is your niche, or real estate is your thing, there's a lot of different loan programs that allow you to put little money down, or even acquire houses with no money down. We can talk about that in a different episode, but put little money down, live in a house, fix it up while you live in it, stay in it for about a year, and then you can move somewhere else and do the same thing, rinse and repeat the same thing, right? There's a lot of different strategies that are available, again, that anybody can do, no matter what level that you're on. It could be somebody who has no experience in real estate at all. It could be somebody who has all the experience in the world. What it takes is really just taking the time to, I don't know, if you don't know something, just ask about it. Like YouTube, I think really people don't really understand the power of YouTube. YouTube was pretty key. Yeah, it was key to me getting my first like wholesale deal, 4 or 5 years ago in real estate from YouTube. This is before I paid any classes. I learned how to how to buy real estate, or I learned how to do wholesaling for free off of YouTube, some for free. Like, so there's really no excuse. Anything that you want to learn about, I promise you, somebody's probably done it before. So all you have to do is take the time, and it's going to take a little bit of effort, but you have to be willing to take that chance, take that first step, and take that leap into actually making a difference. Because again, if you're not getting better, you're dying. And if you are good with that, then completely fine, right? But when you get to the end of life, you got to really ask yourself, man, like, what did I give back to humanity? What did I give to my family? What kind of legacy I'm going to leave behind? And that's something that I think about literally every day, especially now more than ever, because I got a kid coming on the way too, man. Every single day, man, I'm always thinking about, what am I going to leave behind? How can I help more people? And it's something that bothers me. It's something that keeps me up at night. But
yeah,
let me
dog.
shut up.
That's true though, right? I mean, you gotta be able to prepare for that and be able to put it in perspective. Because if you don't, I mean, you'll get caught in not doing anything, and then when it happens, you're just your ass out almost to a certain extent. And so you got want to put everything into perspective, and exactly, that's why I always tell folks, start at the end game and what you want at the end, and then kind of reverse engineer your way back to the where you are, right, and what it takes to get to the end goal. Because a lot
Yeah,
of folks don't even know what the end goal is, right? I think the goal of the money game is to not work if you don't want to, right? I mean, I know that that's the goal for me, right? I mean, I don't want to have to work if I don't want to. I,
yeah,
I don't know how you want to live, but if I don't have to work, you know, that's my choice, right? I mean, Warren Buffett still works, and he's like 1,000 years old, right? So,
he's
like,
up there.
at the end of the day, he wants to do that because it's not a job for him; it's just something he likes to do.
Yeah,
So,
and the impact that he's making too, man.
I want to live like that, right? I want to
Yeah,
live like, hey, I can still go to work because this is just what I like to do, and I have employees that to work for. So, I'm just going from business to business, making sure everything is running the way it needs to.
exactly, man. And jumping into number 5 here, man. We already kind of jumped into it a little bit, but improving your financial information, right? So I think a big piece on that is just education, man. The things that you want to do. Again, YouTube is a great place to start, or even Google's a good place to start, man. And whatever it is, just ask somebody. Closed mouths don't get fed, man. So if there's things that you're passionate about and there's things that you want to do, you have to make it known. I understand, the ability, I think, is big, what the grind and silence and things like that. But the people who are out there connecting and networking and letting people know what they do, those are the people who are getting ahead a lot faster, getting ahead a lot faster. Like, there was a time probably for like honestly, like the first 2.5, 3 years that I was in real estate. Yeah, about 2.5 years, I really didn't tell anybody what I was doing except a select few. And it wasn't that I was like embarrassed or anything like that, but it was just, I just didn't want to tell anybody, man. I want to go out and I want to do it on my own. I want to go make my own way, do my own path, man. It's hard. It's hard to do it that way, man. Once you realize there are so many people who have come before you and have been very, very successful in the field that you're in, you'd be stupid not to ask them to help you out. You'd be stupid not to let people know what you're doing, because that is how you evoke change, and that's how you get to where you want to go faster. As soon as I started reaching out to people who had more success in the exact same field that I was in, it allowed me to like navigate the road, man. Imagine you're driving down the road, a bumpy road, right? Hitting all these potholes that you don't know. But if you hit somebody up, be like, yeah, I drive down 95 every day. Take exit 9B, you know what I mean? So you're not hitting no potholes. It makes it so much smoother for you and allows you to get to that destination a lot quicker.
For sure. So, I mean, I'll tell you one word that kind of changed it for me was humility, right? Humility is basically asking for help when you, right, and not being prideful and thinking you got it by yourself. Like you just said, I used to want to do it all by myself, right, and thought I could do it on my own without going, without talking to nobody else. I don't want to talk to nobody else. I want to do this so I don't have to deal with nobody, right? And the way that you want to live, there's no way in the world you're gonna be able to do it by yourself. So being able to have the humility for your, what I'm saying, to say, to humble yourself enough to say, you know what, I need help, and I'm gonna ask you for it, right? And that's I love putting myself around like-minded individuals and groups, like we're in right now, where people are constantly, no one's in each other's pockets because everybody's doing their own thing. And so, people want to help you, but you just have to be, have the humility to be able to say, you know what, I need the help. I don't know everything. These are the holes that I have in my business. And, I have to be willing to put myself around like-minded individuals that are doing the things that I want to do. So, it's just having humility, man. I used to be so prideful and not saying, I need help, or, I need your help, or I'm going to use someone else to get the things that I need. I always wanted to do it, play hero ball, James Harden style. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they played last night, first game of the year, and he had a great game, and they lost. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so like at the end, still hasn't figured it out yet. But in the like having that team, and you look at Golden State, even without Clay, I mean, they look phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Because people buy into the system, right? And it's the system that was going to propel you, not you being the talent.
Yep. Dang. Yeah, that's deep, man. That is deep. And I think to kind of wrap everything up, man, is I love these topics. These are all solid topics. And just kind of run through them again, right? So number one, the 5 financial IQs. Number one, focusing on making more money. Number two, protecting your money. Number three, budgeting your money. Number four, leveraging your money. And number five, improving your financial information / education, right? So at all those topics, man, I hope that was beneficial. We'll have a recording. Recording is going to be on Facebook, should be on Instagram. It's going to be on my YouTube as well too. But yeah, outside of that, just let us know if you guys have questions and things like that. Throw them in the chat. Like just for folks on Facebook, we can't see Facebook, so I'm trying to push the YouTube and the Instagram because I can't see Facebook comments while we're on here live, so everybody knows. So if you have questions, please join the YouTube. I can see them live. I can post them. And actually, we did have one question. My nephew jumped on. He said, "How do I invest some money and double it?" So I kind of want to ponder on that a little bit. He just for context, he is 16, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, 16 years old. He is a college athlete. He actually has a D1 offer right now. He's gonna get some more, continues playing well.
Hey.
But yeah, I mean, I guess how would you answer that question? How do you double your money?
I mean, what, being 16 years old, I mean, much you can do to double your money right off. I would think you can do some online things. You can run a business or something like that. But even with that, it's, doubling your money is not is tough. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you have a lot of it, right? I mean, so you have to have the right investment tools and the strategies to put it into, right? I mean, just because you have $100,000, or even if just because someone hits the lottery and they win $10 million, don't make them a millionaire, right? Because they could spend that money just as they made it, because
Yep.
they don't have millionaire principles. So what I would say would be to invest in yourself, invest in, learning more about money, learning more about financial education, and surrounding yourself with people who are living.
Yeah. Was that last part you said? It cut off a little bit there.
Oh, my bad. I said, well, basically, surrounding yourself with, I would say take that money and invest in yourself. I'm not saying spend it on college or anything like that. But what I'm saying is get around people who are doing the things that you want to do and who are living the way you want to live, and
Yeah.
basically see what they're doing and see, what can I do that can put me in a place to live the way I want to live.
Yeah.
And understand that, you try to get around them. I mean, because, success always leaves clues.
Yeah, and man, and
Oh,
I think that's probably going to be my answer too. And I think, man, one thing that I would add to that, as far as another answer for it, especially because I know where he lives. He lives in a nice neighborhood. It's a big neighborhood, nice neighborhood. There's a lot of people out there who would pay money to see you out there cutting their grass, just in general. See some kids out there cutting grass, and that was something that I would say that me and a couple of kids in my neighborhood did growing up, and there have been a lot of folks can relate to it as well. But you could literally start like a landscaping company at 16, and something that you continue on for however long that you want, right? You get a couple of your friends together, y'all start cutting grass, you charge a rate, then you can start bringing on more people, right? Start hiring on more people. You're paying them, hey, I'll give you $20 to cut this grass when you're getting paid 50 by the owner to cut it. You know what I mean? You start doing that long enough, you can start offering different services and things like that, right? So that's another thing that you could do to double your money. But there's no get rich quick scheme. If anybody tries to tell you do something in a couple of days, you could double your money doing XYZ, it's either extremely risky and it's not worth it, or it's, probably not true and you can get scammed. So
there you go. That's it, man. So just keep your head up, keep pushing forward, and get around other successful people.
100%. But now outside of that, man, I think that pretty much wraps it up, man. I'm going to be posting some things here over the next few weeks. I really just want to know what you guys want us to talk about, man, because whatever you want to learn, whatever you want to learn about, I promise you, if we ain't got the resources, we know people who have the resources, and we just want to provide and add value to you. So literally anything you want to talk about, financially related, budgeting related, faith related, just let us know. And we'll see you guys here in 2 weeks. But y'all go out there, crush it. No time to chill. We're trying to build. Hope y'all enjoyed episode number 4. Peace.
Later.